The Alzheimer's Research charity is promoting this campaign called Share the Orange, which is a really kind of interesting tagline for it, trying to sort of promote the understanding of what the disease is, rather than just forgetfulness in old age. But for you, it's got a very special resonance, hasn't it?
Oh, gosh, yeah. So my granddad had Alzheimer's dementia, and we kind of, looking back on it, I think started earlier than we thought, and we just put it down to him and his funny little ways. And actually, oh, look.
You were really close, weren't you?
Very, very, yeah. My nan and granddad were in Edmonton, where I was born, and until I was about 16, I was still spending all my summer holidays and school holidays down there. I just adored them. And, yeah, he got quite bad, and then my nan was his carer. And then, out of the blue, I mean, she was the absolute apple of my eye. Out of the blue, she went shopping one day and she just died. And it was a real shock because she was his carer and he was the one that was poorly. And then all of a sudden, he went from being bad to 100 times worse. And I think, could he have gone then and there with her? He would have done. And actually, we watched him deteriorate from being granddad with Alzheimer's to someone who at times didn't know who any of us were. And
you must have had to make a really tough decision about how to look after him. What was the best way? And how did the family come?
My dad. Yeah, it's my dad's mum and dad's. Yeah, he did. And when Nan died, we had to also tell him as well, and that was very, very difficult because it was whether he was going to understand, and he did. And then some days he would just be, "Where's Marg?" And we'd go, "She's just gone shopping, she'll be back soon." He'd go, "OK." And we'd all be sort of crying, and he'd be like, "Oh, OK."
Didn't you make him a cake one day and he said, "Oh, it's a fruit cake," and your grandma used to make it for him?
Yeah, it's my nan's all-time recipe. It's the one that's in my book, and I've shared it because it's got a handwritten recipe. It's a boiled fruit cake, and it was his absolute favourite. And at a funeral, I made the cake, and I said, "Give Grandad a slice." I said, "Is that all right, Grandad?" And he went, "Not as good as Marg's." Oh, I'll have that because it never will be. But for someone with Alzheimer's, I think food and things like that was the only thing that used to bring him back. And he's always used to go from that dull grey to blue, and it'd be chalk ices. And he once told my nan that he'd rather have a corned beef sandwich than a Christmas dinner, which went really well after spending all day in the kitchen.
Didn't he, to go on the bake-off, and he inspired a lot of your recipes?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about them all the time. They're just... I'm such a family and friends person. But with sort of spending so much time with Nan and Grandad, she was an amazing cook, she was an amazing baker, but actually, also, I think when he was about 13 or 14, and we only knew this because he started talking about it through his Alzheimer's, he worked in a bakery. So we'd talk about when he was 13 or 14. He wouldn't know who I was, but he'd talk about when he was in the bakery and things like that. But yeah, to be part of this campaign and sort of an ambassador for Alzheimer's Research UK is just incredible because it's just such an awful disease and it's such an awful deterioration to see and watch firsthand and see it almost happening before your eyes.
And it's now affecting so many people.
So many.
Obviously, we're hoping that before too long, they'll come up with, you know, a pill and so on, and not just early detection, but also, you know, some kind of
Well, it's also understanding it, isn't it? And I think we understand so much more, and that's part of what Share the Orange is about.
Yeah, and it's such a good way of describing it. So the Share the Orange is the fact that an orange weighs on average about 140 grams, and actually, someone with Alzheimer's dementia, that's how much the brain deteriorates by. And that's massive.
So it's shrinking.
It's shrinking.
Yeah.
I mean, I worry sometimes my brain's not even the size of an actual orange.
I think the thing is, it's not an inevitability of old age.
No, it's not.
It is a physiological condition that we need to...
And dementia is like... It is part of sort of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is the disease, and that's the bit on the side of it. But yeah,
some happier things. The big day is coming up.
Oh gosh! Oh,
when is? How far away?
Let's have a
September.
Look. Oh, look at that!
Well, I mean, who's going to bake your cake for your wedding?
Well, I'm not doing it. I've done a couple, and it's the most stressful thing I've ever done.
You're not doing Harry and Meghan's cake?
No, they didn't ask me. Charming.
I think you would have made a great cake. Yes, exactly. So, your cake...
So, my cake, I happen to know 11 really good bakers. And they're all going to do a tier for me.
So, all the contestants?
Yeah.
Are going to make part of... How big is it?
It's going to be massive.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be I think.
Is there anyone that you thought, oh, actually, I'm not sure about their Tia?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I tasted of all their baking, so I know they're all pretty good. But they sort of said, "What do you want?" I went, "I don't care, just whatever you like."
So it's going to be a bit of everything.
Yeah, just.
You haven't given them a kind of outline.
No, I'm too laid back to be like planning a wedding. I'm like, it'll happen. Everyone else around me's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know.
So you've not started planning it?
Oh yeah,
you are
planning, but just in my own little slow way.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
I call it that's bride-chiller instead of bridezilla.
We've got you a little surprise as well that's going to be really important for the wedding. Do you want to hand this
over?
on?
Oh, OK.
Cute.
I might not fit in that. Oh, it's for the doggy! Sybil and Dennis! Or they could wear the other way around. Yeah, Dennis the pug and Sybil are resting.
Dennis the pug's never going to get into that.
Oh, might have to do a bit more walking. Sybil...